Welcome back to Close Up. Last week before he left office, we sat down with now former Governor Chris Sununu for one last interview. A big part of our discussion centered around the COVID-19 pandemic, how the state responded, and some of the leadership choices Sununu made. He tells us it was the defining moment of his tenure as governor.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, COVID was one of those things that brought everybody together because everybody was facing a crisis. Nobody was immune from it. No one was exempt from it, right? This entire country and here in New Hampshire, I focused on the 1.4 million people in New Hampshire. Everybody was dealing with that crisis in some form. So it was defining in that way. It was tough. I've told the story a few times where I brought the team in very early on in March and said, okay, here's the deal. We're going to have to make some very tough decisions and something no one's ever dealt with. We're going to get some assistance from the federal government, but even they don't really know what they're dealing with. We're going to be incredibly transparent, and we're going to probably upset everybody in some form because we're going to have to make tough decisions, and that's okay. We're going to do right by the state. I told my team there's probably no getting reelected after this. Let's ignore the politics of everything and just do right by the state. It worked. It worked in a way, what I mean, the team came together. God bless our state employees. They stepped up, and not just in their existing roles, they took on new challenges. You know, we had our contact tracing team. We had the National Guard doing things we had never asked them to do. We were creating rules, opportunities, and operations that had never been thought of really before, literally all in the same moment. And the team responded. They didn't say, no, sorry, can't do it. Sorry, not going to work on the weekends. Everybody put in the hours knowing that 1.4 million people in New Hampshire deserved those results. And we crushed it. I mean, we really did. Doesn't mean that the system was flawless. It doesn't mean every decision we made was perfect. But in terms of being transparent, responsive, I'd put our results against any state in the country. And we've been nationally recognized as that. So it was defining in that it was a crisis, which is terrible. No one ever wants to go through. It was defining in that it really proved the model of ignore the politics, do right by the people, and don't get the results that the politics demand. Get the results that the people need. And there's a fundamental difference there. It can be a cavern of difference. And when you focus on that, the politics will come if they deserve to come, from that. But don't worry about that. And I've had a lot of folks come up that went through tough times, lost loved ones. Maybe the businesses struggled, or they struggled as employees. Maybe they were working for a national company and whatever it was. But by and large, folks come up still to this day acknowledging the transparency that we brought to the system. And that instilled the trust. I mean, if there's anything folks don't have with government, it's trust. And that's a healthy lack of trust with government. That's in a ways a healthy thing. I think certain parts of government don't deserve to be trusted, frankly. I learned that the transparency was the foundation of that public trust. So even if you didn't agree maybe with what we were doing, at least we were being super clear with why we were doing it, what the data was, who we were responding to, what the needs were, how we were prioritizing things. And I think with that hopefully comes, if there's a legacy or a lesson here out of COVID, that's it. Transparency and trusting in the people and what you're doing and not worrying about the politics truly has set New Hampshire apart from everybody else.
You know, the state designs its government to have power diffused across many different ways. Some would say the New Hampshire governor is one of the least powerful in the nation. You probably got to wield more power than any other New Hampshire governor, than, say, perhaps wartime governors in the past. Did you ever become uncomfortable with that, thinking, my goodness, I'm making these momentous decisions for so many people?
Uncomfortable on day one with it, sure. Oh, my goodness. When we had to enact the state of emergency, and we thought long and hard about what that would mean and the power that would come with that, it's an immense responsibility. But that's the job, right? That's the job. So never quite comfortable with it, but maybe in a way that kept us on our toes to make sure we did it as a team as much as we could. I do my press conferences, but if you remember, Commissioner Shibinette was out there, and Dr. Chan was out there, and giving good information, taking tough questions. Being uncomfortable is a very healthy thing in public service and government. It's okay. Going, on each of those press conferences, asking you guys, the press, from all walks, whoever wanted to walk in the door, keep asking questions. We're going to take your questions till you guys have nothing else to ask today, and I'll be back tomorrow for another round. MUR was great. If you remember, I did the talk about uncomfortable. I told my team I was going to go on live on WMUR. Take questions off of Facebook, I think, if I remember we did it. And unfiltered, as many as we could. Didn't always have every answer, but that's okay. good question, we can get back to you. Or someone would ask a question and there was some misinformation there. Let me correct so people feel comfortable where we are. That was just another part of, I'm going to get really uncomfortable and put myself in tough situations because that's what the people demand and deserve. And in doing that, again, it's part of that instilling a sense of public trust. Maybe not agreeing with every decision, but that is a very important part of the job. That comes with the job. That's a demand of the job. If you're not ready for that, don't run for governor, don't run for elected office. Because I think if anything, there's something I learned was that it's a responsibility. And it came with sacrifice. There's no question. It's hard on my family. It was hard on my schedule, hard on my time. Would have been a lot easier. And you saw other governors across the country that didn't do that, that didn't take that approach. Overall, the state was better for it. So in the end of the day, we were better for it.